Hi, and welcome to the show. Subscribe at kevinmd.com/podcast. Today, we welcome Stacey Funt. She's a physician, and her Kevin MD article is The Healing Power of Travel, How Adventure Transforms Mind, Body, and Spirit. Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about the Kevin MD article that you wrote.
Sure, thanks. So I'm a physician, and about 12 years ago, I also went back for lifestyle medicine and I became a board certified health coach. I've been a global adventure traveler my entire adult life. And so right before COVID, I started to have the idea of combining the two together. And so that's when I came up with the idea with adventure travel. So I actually did start my first trip, but COVID hit and we had to cancel that one. And then my kids went off to college
Yeah.
and then I officially started my company. So I do wellness adventure based on tenets of lifestyle medicine. All of my trips have movement, healthy eating, we build community, and we have moments of relaxation in these amazing locations all over the globe.
All right. So tell us about the benefits of travel and how that intersects with some of the things that we do as physicians.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody experiences different benefits of travel. It all depends how you like to travel. And for so many people, the number one thing they want to do in their free time is travel.
Yeah.
And it could be fun, it could be exciting, it could be educational, it could be so many things. But I'm focusing more on the wellness aspects and the health benefits. I used to have friends come back from trips and they would, need to go on a diet or start moving,
Yeah.
or they would just feel so gluttonous and or bad when they came back. So, health takes place not just in the doctor's office, of course, it takes place in how we live. And when you go on wellness adventure travel, you're continuing to do the things that you love and feel good as you're going on these amazing adventures and experiencing these new cultures. And for some people, and I put myself in this camp actually, it's even easier to be healthy when you have a trip planned because, when you have a trek coming up or a hike coming up, it's a lot easier to be motivated to get to that gym and to train for it. So it can be very goal oriented. But as I mentioned in the article, I think there are three components, that travel can affect. And of course, it's our physical health when we're moving and we're relaxing and we're eating well, and our emotional health when we're together in community and we're
Yeah.
connecting with other people and when we see we're part of a global community. And then, of course, on a spiritual level, all of my trips involve, going to these amazing natural places, whether it's the High Atlas Mountains in Morocco or the Inca Trail or the Val d'Orcia in Tuscany. We're in these beautiful natural settings where we really get to spend some time walking in nature and just kind of reevaluating our place in this world.
So tell us about how you incorporate wellness during these trips. Like you said, a lot of times when we go on vacation, you always need a vacation for the vacation because it was
Yeah,
so busy, like you said, very
yeah,
gluttonous, and you
yeah.
just need to recover from that. But how do you incorporate wellness when you're in all these exotic locations?
Thank you. So I try to balance out the itinerary the best I can. So every trip involves a cooking lesson or a food tour, or in Guatemala, we do farm to table restaurants, and I always have vegetarian options. It's not just vegetarian, you can do what you want, but I always provide an easy opportunity for staying with the kind of eating that a lot of people, like to enjoy or want to include for themselves. So there's a focus on food. There's also movement. All of my trips involve hiking. I have different level guides. It's moderate hiking, it's nothing too extreme. But they all involve, we do e-bikes. You can turn the assist up or down in Tuscany if
Okay.
you want, but we're getting out and we're moving. It's not just being sedentary on a bus or anything like that. And all of my trips will include yoga classes. Often we stay in a spa, we go to a spa. So it's pretty adventurous and it could be high energy, but then we bring it down and we have moments for that. And then most of my trips are for women. I do have a couples trip coming up, but most of mine are women only. And we have all of our dinners together. And I am a trained coach, so I facilitate some conversation. And one of the big goals is really building community and feeling the bonds and the benefits of being in a community together. So that's a really big part of the experience as well.
And in terms of your clientele, are they mostly in the healthcare field, mostly physicians and clinicians?
Yeah, I'd say at this point, probably about a quarter to a third of physicians, because that's so many that I'm connected to. One physician turned 50 and brought two of her sisters, but this is not just for physicians. I do have options for CME if physicians want it, but there's no lectures at all. This is fully immersive and experiential. So it's a mix of physicians and non-physicians at this point.
Now, do you ever have that conversation because you always hear about things like clinician burnout and how stressful the job is? And do you ever hear some of those complaints come out during these sessions when you have a group of physicians along on the trip?
I wouldn't say complaints. I would just say dialogue.
Yeah.
Of course, women share that. I mean, I think physicians are all going through a lot of the same things right now. And I just recently had a trip in Guatemala, and not just medicine, it's other fields as well where it's high pressure, but there are some unique situations for physicians. And, one trip I had a woman share very, very vulnerably about her feelings about a malpractice case that was coming
Yeah.
up. And I think she found it really healing and really supportive to have the feedback that she did and just a place to be witnessed and be seen. So I do think it's a wonderful experience.
So, in terms of wellness, there are a lot of retreats within the United States that's certainly geared towards the healthcare field, but there's something about traveling to sometimes an exotic locale that makes that a little bit different. So what makes traveling specifically a little bit different from just say a retreat locally?
Yeah, I mean, retreats are wonderful also. And my adventures are not retreats. They are definitely travel. And I think there's a big difference. A few different things. First of all, an adventure travel is really focused on having an experience of another location. It's not meant to teach you something. It's not meant to be focused. It's wide open to whatever the experience may be. And you ever go away on a trip and 5 days feels like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Sometimes time expands when you
Yeah.
travel. I think because we are so mindful, we're so present. When you travel, so many of the positive emotions are ignited, right? Awe and wonder.
Yeah.
And it's like a moving meditation. We're so awake to everything around us because we're seeing things often we've never seen before, we've never experienced before. And it really can be extremely strong emotions as we're going on this ever-changing landscape throughout the adventure. So there's no clear intention other than for you to have this wonderful experience, whatever that experience is going to be.
And of course, traveling within a group through unknown locales, exotic adventures, that bonds the group closer together as well, right?
Yes, very, very much. Now, I don't have a join now button on my website at this point. I Zoom individually with everybody who's interested in
Yeah.
going because they are active adventures and you want to make sure it's the right fit for somebody, that they're, having the expectations are correct and it's the right experience for them. So I Zoom with everyone. And, it is a very close-knit group and we do spend a lot of time together and it's worked out really, really well so far. It's been really great.
One of the things you mentioned earlier was the spiritual component, spiritual well-being.
Yeah.
Now, how does going to sometimes awe-inspiring natural locales, how does that contribute to that sense of spiritual well-being?
I think that's such a personal answer. But when we're in the desert, we spend a night in a luxury, like in a luxury camp in the desert of the Sahara, Morocco. And when you're in the desert, after the campfire, we go out to the dunes and we lay under the stars. And it's one of those rare moments when you see the whole Milky Way, you see everything. And I think for each of us as human beings, when we're in some of these really magnificent experiences, it puts us in a different place. It makes us see our lives in the world in a little bit of a different perspective in that moment. And to me, that's what spirituality is, to be able to step outside yourself and have a different perspective on your life and your place in it and your connection to it.
So tell us how you got started with this. You went from being a physician to now organizing adventure travel. Tell us how you got interested in the first place and why you made that connection and why
Yeah,
you
sure.
switched from being a physician.
Well, I'm still a physician, so I am. I'm still practicing part-time, and I had thought about this for a very long time. And what happened, my kids left for college, And I've been thinking about this for years. I did plan one trip that COVID hit and we canceled. And my kids left for college. And a month before they left for college, my father-in-law died. And a month after they left for college, my father died. And I was about to turn the age that my mother died. My mother died young. And so it was really a profound sense of loss for me at the time. And I'm very grateful for my medical career. I work with wonderful colleagues. I enjoy many things about it, but it doesn't fulfill all aspects of my being. And I was feeling so much loss. For the first time in my life, I really started to question, is the best behind me? I'm usually a very positive person. I
Sure.
have a lot of energy, and I was really wondering, did I just pass the best moments? And so I've always been a traveler, and I just knew I had to go trekking in Nepal.
Yeah.
I was home. I'm like, I feel a calling to go to Nepal. So I asked my husband if he wanted to come, and we went on this beautiful journey. It was a moderate trek. We did not do the full Annapurna circuit,
Sure.
but we went through the Annapurna region. And just walking in the mountains, being surrounded by such beauty, and then learning about the Hindu culture and going to the crematorium and seeing their perspectives on death and dying. And it was such a transformative healing journey. And the very long flight back from Kathmandu at the end of that trip, I just knew it was absolutely time to do it. That was going to be what I was going to pour my passion and my creativity to now that my active mothering role
Yeah.
had changed. That was going to be my next step. And I came home from that trip knowing I was going to start with Morocco and I was just going to give it my best shot. And if it went, it went. If it didn't, then I knew I gave it my best.
I hear that a lot from physicians where medicine doesn't completely fill up their cup, right? They need something else. There's a little bit empty if it's just medicine. And a lot of physicians, they just don't have a passion, of course, like you're expressing here. So, what kind of advice do you have for doctors who may be listening to you now, where medicine by itself just isn't enough for them? What kind of words of wisdom do you have for them?
I would I would really say do what makes you feel more energy, right? If something
Yeah.
energizes you, then that's usually something very positive for you to be doing, right? So I didn't realize I was going to make a travel business. I've
Yeah.
been a passionate traveler my entire life, having no idea I would ever make this a business. So I'm very grateful for medicine, and we're lucky to have a field that some of us can do part-time and you can split and do multiple things, but just keep trying new things and exploring things and see what makes you feel excited and then follow that energy. There may be all different sorts of ways to turn that into a business or a side gig or just something that replenishes your cup when maybe the day drags you down.
Now, where do you see this going forward? Do you see in the foreseeable future that continuing blend between clinical medicine and your adventure travel business?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I am getting a little bit older. I've been doing medicine for a long time. This is a great next phase eventually to me. We'll just see how it all goes. Right now, I'm leading all of my trips. I will be sending private groups if there are groups of people already who want to go, and I will have other people host for me. And so I'll just take it one day at a time and see what happens.
So, how many trips do you lead in a typical year?
Well, right now I'm leading for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long are these trips typically?
It depends. Like I have an upcoming trip to Morocco in October. That's 10 days long.
Okay.
I have a trip to Peru that's 8 days, a trip to Tuscany that's 7 days, and a trip to Guatemala that's 6 days. And right now, when I plan a new trip, some people who plan trips use companies from that country and have the company organize it. I like to go there myself. So I do a
Sure.
research trip in advance. I scout out everything. I meet my local outfitters and I kind of design what I think will go with my brand and the experience I want to create with my guests. So I just came back a few weeks ago from Andalusia, Spain for a new trip that I'm planning for September of
Wow.
2026. So I'll see.
And tell us how big are the groups that you lead and
Yeah,
what's the
so
kind of
there
age spectrum?
yeah, so in general, my trips mainly have been 40s through 60s.
Okay.
I don't exclude anyone. A 20-year-old may not enjoy hiking with me, but you never know. And it all depends on somebody's activity and comfort level. But mainly they're 40s through 60s, and group sizes usually are a max of 10 or 12.
Sure.
I will do my first couples trip next year to Guatemala because it's such a wonderful trip. I'll have a women's trip and a couples trip that year because that's such an easy one that's the only one we stay in one place the entire time at this beautiful hotel. So if one partner doesn't want the activity the other partner may have, like we kayak and we hike a volcano and we do all those, all that. But that one has the most flexibility. But usually it's small groups of 12 to 14 a max because we want to keep that community feel. And we have our meals together and we want to be able to have personal conversation.
We're talking to Stacey Funt. She's a physician, and her Kevin MD article is The Healing Power of Travel: How Adventure Transforms Mind, Body, and Spirit. Stacey, let's end with some take-home messages that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience.
I would just say follow whatever adventure excites you and just don't stop. Thanks.
Stacey, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and insight. Thanks again for coming on the show.